Hello and welcome to our Trusted Partnership interview series. Today I'm joined by Christian Schneider. He is the Strategy Director at Pilot Germany. Chris, thank you for joining us. Welcome.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, pleasure. And look, we are super excited to have you, and I know that you guys have some really interesting insights, particularly with everything that has been going on the coronavirus. So as we record, it's the middle of June and things are starting to open up again, and you have a lot of really interesting data and insight, particularly in the German market. I was wondering if you could just give us a slide overview of what you do, and then talk to us a little bit about what you're seeing in terms of the latest consumer sort of trends.
What we have done is that we set up a big questionnaire with 1,000 participants on a weekly basis. During the last 4 weeks, I think we switched into every 2 weeks period. And so since the beginning of the lockdown, we did a study and we tried to find out what do the consumers out there think of Corona. How is Corona affecting their personal behavior, their buying behavior? How is it affecting how they see brands, how they see advertising and communications? And yeah, we released that study to let the market be part or to share our knowledge and our ideas, but also we used that to talk with our clients a lot about that, as they had a lot of questions. And what we found out was that in the beginning of Corona, of course, a lot of people tended to do what we call in German hamster buying. It's like everyone was buying toilet paper, everyone was buying noodles and tomatoes in cans and stuff like that. We were pretty much overwhelmed of what was happening out there, as a lot of people stopped their holiday planning. They stopped their planning on behalf of buying furniture and of buying bigger things. So people felt really influenced in terms of their consumption, in terms of their buying behavior by Corona. And interestingly, during the time that changed, and it changed a lot. So what we've seen during the beginning of the lockdown till now is that there is an increase in general optimism. People tend to become more optimistic about Corona, even if they still feel a certain uncertainty what will happen during the next few weeks and months. They were starting to become more relaxed in terms of buying behavior. So no more bulk buying of toilet paper and noodles and tomato cans. It's more like normal FMCG supermarket buying behavior again. Also in terms of big investments or bigger investments of goods that are none for the daily use, like furniture, cars, or whatever, it all relaxed a little. But still the people are not ready yet to make the big investments. And the newest thing that we saw during the last week's survey was that as the borders are starting to open up again, a lot of people are starting to plan a holiday, but of course not by plane, and mainly inside of Europe. A lot of them are also mainly inside of Germany, and they want to drive by car to their favorite holiday places. Yeah, this is the newest thing that happens.
I love the term hamster buying. It's so evocative of that kind of like panic buying, and it's something that I think we have seen reflected across all of Europe when we look at the search data that we hold. A very sort of intense spike of those sort of long-term, long shelf life goods. But now we start to see those ease, and people are starting to think of those bigger purchases. So I know we've seen across Europe, for example, people investing in hair clippers, because that's the kind of the newest concern. But also, in places like France and Italy, coffee makers is the thing that desperately need more than anything else. They're thinking of the immediacy of, say, tomato or pasta or something like that.
I think a lot of people in Germany are now going to the hairdresser again, since they opened up like 4 weeks ago. So you still see a lot of guys with a Corona bush on their head and their face, but now they get shaved clean and have a new cut. But also a lot of people, they invested in furniture, for example, during Corona in their homes, to improve their living space, as maybe they weren't feeling, or they were feeling this uncertainty of when will I get or be able to get more out again. And as that happens, we see also a shift in consumer behavior at the moment towards outside consumption. The bars are open up again with restrictions, of course, but when you walk through Hamburg, where I live, or drive through by bicycle, and you come to the outgoing spots with a lot of bars and restaurants, it feels, at least from just walking through, it feels like a normal summer. People want to hang outside, they want to have fun, they want to meet other people, they want to drink, they want to eat. These things happen again, and you see that the consumption now is getting more normal in that terms. But of course, some people who are working, let's say, less in Kurzarbeit or in short working, and also the people who are working freelance and now doesn't have a steady income. So the people who are economically affected, they tend to spend not that happily and not that optimistic than the other part of the people who are in the steady economic situation they had also before Corona. So there is like it's not a real split, but there are two big groups within Germany, and it's like 50-50. Okay. That is something we see from the study.
But even so, you are seeing optimism sort of return, and also I think you talked, when we were talking before we came on the recording, about the impact of Corona is kind of less evident in their overall sort of thinking for buying behavior, whereas before it was very much at the front of their mind, and now it's becoming more of the background.
Exactly. The people out there, they tend to feel more positive. They have less sorrows. Still sorrows there, of course, but not that strong than we've seen it before.
And so, what do you see as being some of the the longer term effects of what we're seeing going on here, and what are some of the trends that you feel are going to have a lasting impact as a result of Corona?
The result, or the trends on society are hard to forecast, as there are many possibilities and still a lot of uncertainty. But I think what we found out about our study is that there is a lot of change to happen within the field of brand communication, of advertising. So what we saw is that in the beginning, when all the companies did some relevance campaigns and saying, thank you, dear carers, thank you, whomever, people were thinking, okay, cool, the brands are doing something for the greater good. But they quickly started to understand that this is just relevance catching and it is not authentic. So in terms of marketing, the field I'm in mostly, I feel like there is a trend we can identify, and it's not a completely new trend, but Corona might be an accelerator for that trend. So we saw that the consumers, they like communication that is authentic. They like communication that is driven by core values of brands, and a core value doesn't have always to be something like sustainability. It can be designing great products and simply communicating great products, or it could be also other brands who had a good wholesale price on certain things. So value for money as a market positioning. If you communicate about that, it can be authentic. So it depends on which core values, which value framework a brand has, but what people want brands to do, what they want to see, what we see within our study is that they explicitly like communication that is authentic, and that doesn't make them feel fooled from the brands. And I think this is a big trend, and I think it's not exactly a new trend, it's a trend during the last few years, but I think it becomes more important through Corona as it is an amplifier for so many things.
And I think that's fascinating insight into, it's not just the sort of the values that you like espouse, but it's the values that you live, and consumers are getting wise to that fact, and that they can see through it if a brand is just jumping on a bandwagon rather than truly living and breathing those values. One of the things that we have seen is that you mentioned sustainability, and sustainability seems to be one of those things that is becoming increasingly important. For in a study that we've conducted, we've seen that 1 in 4 people after coronavirus say they want to live more sustainably. And I just wondered if you had seen similar things, but that feels like one of those things that if you're going to make that part of your messaging, it really has to be like an authentic thing rather than just a trend that you jump on.
Yeah, I think as a brand has to be authentic. It wouldn't work of talking about sustainability and not being sustainable. That wouldn't work, because at some point the consumers would understand. So I think Corona can be an amplifier for that too. But at least I do not think sustainability as a topic will decrease. I think it will at least stay at the same level as before.
Great. So if I try and summarize the things that we talked about, the first thing that you said was that generally in terms of behavior, we've moved away from that initial phase of panic hamster buying, and we've gone into more sort of new normal of people thinking about their purchasing behavior. We also talked about Corona being this kind of amplifier of big issues, and things are really when people have time to reflect and introspect, that they're taking note of a lot of these big topics. One of the things that seems to be kind of bubbling away under the surface and will continue is sustainability, which some brands might see as an opportunity, but only if they can really be authentic. And I think one of the best, the biggest nuggets that you've shared is how consumers really respond to brands sharing their values as part of their marketing, but only if it's truly authentic. If it's something where it feels like it's not earned, or that they're doing it just to communicate something, then they can see through that, and that can have actually a detrimental effect for the brand. Whereas if you are being true to your core principles and your core values, then that really resonates.
Yeah, I think that is a very good summary. I would like to add one point. I think people not only tend to, let's say, get into an amplifier situation because of they are using more information, or there is so much information out there. I think it's also the uncertainty, sorry, within the Corona times, because no one knows what will happen next. And this might be a risk at some point, because people tend to get emotional. But it is also a big chance for all of us, because if things are uncertain, then there is the chance for a change also into the positive way. And I think brand can address those things, especially within the topic of sustainability, if they are ready to not only talk about it, but to also maybe adjust their business models toward sustainability.
Okay. Chris, thank you so much for your time. It's been really interesting to talk to you. Thank you for all of your insights, and we hope that for those of you watching, you find this useful.
Thank you.